everyone, welcome back to Growed Up. I am your girl Fernando, the host of this marvelous show where you and I dissect childhood concepts in a more adult perspective. We go through all these adulting concepts, okay? We're like, oh my God, I'm adulting. And then we compare them to what we thought of them when we were children. And then we look at them now that we are adult. But before I jump into the show, guys, there's been a few changes with the podcast. Not necessarily the podcast, but like the channels and all of that stuff. For one, I've been gone a very long time. Okay, so I apologize for that. But your girl is back now. And we are also back with the entanglement. And one of the most important changes is that all the podcasts that are produced by Neon Studios are all going to come under the Neon Studio podcast on YouTube. On Spotify and everywhere else, you're still going to listen to them individually. But on YouTube, everything is going to be under one channel. So the name also has changed to Neon Studio. It's not Neon Bloom Productions anymore, Neon Bloom Podcast, whatever. It's just Neon Studio. You search that and then you're going to find all the podcasts under there. But yeah, before we jump in, I also want to remind you all to like and subscribe and share this podcast if this is a topic that you find useful to you or that you want to share with someone. Well, it's been a while, like we all know. I don't think we need to like beat on a dead horse, because listen, your girl has been through it, okay? Not in a like bad way. It's just that it's been a very interesting past, I would say, year and a half since I last uploaded, at least for this episode, for this podcast. And I've done a lot of other work that I've been busy with, just trying to find myself. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm that girl. Finding myself. But yeah, there's been a lot of like challenges, but also a lot of like good things that have been happening in between. And so for the return, I had actually recorded this podcast. Funny enough, I recorded this entire episode last year. I recorded this entire topic last year and I hated what I had put out. Oh, I hadn't put it out, but what I recorded. So I deleted it because it's like, I'm not going back to it. And then I sat with this concept. I scripted it. I recorded it, and like it's weird because I sat with this topic for like a good year and a half, and I don't know, today I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go old school Fernando, old school Growed Up, old school like when I first started to do the solos, okay? Because then I wasn't as scripted. Then I didn't think much about it in terms of like plan it out. I knew more or less what I was going to talk about and I'll just talk about it. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do that. I'm going to talk from the heart and I'm going to see how long I can speak for. Will I speak for 30 minutes? Will I speak for 45? Will I speak for an hour? I don't know. But all I know is that I'm going to talk. Okay? I'm going to talk. And today's topic is purpose versus duty, okay? And why I sat with this one is because it's a very sticky one. It's a very sticky one. I've been talking to people about whether they believe in purpose and whether they have a purpose. And most people do. Most people believe in purpose. And I've been trying to like think about it, kind of like philosophize purpose, right? And when I go back. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. I thought it's my dog scratching. I thought he was this side of me, but now he's on that other side of me. He's now in his favorite spot. But I've been philosophizing this concept for, like I said, for a good year, funny enough. And like in almost not a day went by without me thinking about it. And I will preface this. I don't think I'm about to say anything life-changing. I don't think I'm about to say anything that the Socrates of the world have not yet said. Okay, so I'm not proclaiming to be any sort of like true philosopher that is coming with like new mind-blowing ideas, but I think what I do want to do with this one is like get to a point where we understand certain concepts and that we are realistic with it. I think that's always been the purpose of Growed Up, right? That there's ideas that we grew up with. There is concepts that we were taught coming up. For example, purpose. What is your purpose? But I don't think as children we are asked what is our purpose, but so much so like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you like? Or what are your dreams? You know what I mean? It's always been that way. And I think we've always attached that dream to purpose. And at some point in life, we started to like not talk about what are your dreams and aspirations, but so much so, what is my purpose in this world? What is my place in this world? What am I here? What am I meant to do? What am I meant to be on this beautiful planet? And the challenge of that, for as simple as it may sound, why I grappled with the idea of purpose is because I like to understand the root of why nje. I want to know why anything. Why do we have this inherent need for purpose? Why is purpose such a driving force for humans as individuals, you know? And again, tracing back to now my childhood, let's think about this. For me, I don't recall ever having to address purpose, but I've always been confronted with the idea of like needing to know what I want to do. And I find that I'm doing the same with my son. I'm almost every 3 months or so, we confront him with this idea. What do you want to do with your life? He's 14. He's not going to know. And so where does this idea of purpose come from? For me as a Baba, I thought that I was going to be a doctor. I've always wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a pediatrician initially. And then I wanted to be like a surgeon of sorts. But I knew that I always wanted to like be a doctor of sorts. And when I lost my eyesight, then obviously I couldn't be a doctor anymore. Now I had to change my complete, like, understand this. I was, up until I was like 10, I'm now understanding how long 10 years is, even though it's like just in the view of a child. But like all I knew is that I was going to be a pediatrician and I was going to be a doctor. And I had 2 other friends growing up who had the same dream for themselves, that they were going to be pediatricians and they're going to be doctors. And between myself and these 2 girls, I'm the only one who didn't realize this because of you know, I lost my eyesight. But both these girls became doctors, one an actual pediatrician. I don't know what the other one is, but a lot of people around me kind of became what they said they would become, right? A lot of them. A lot didn't. But for me personally, it was that thing of like what I knew I would be, my path was set up to become a doctor, then that wasn't going to happen anymore. And then I thought, okay, the next best thing that I can do to be close to a doctor is maybe become a psychologist. I don't know why I didn't become a psychologist, but I think I'm happy I didn't. I think now, like, I think up until like 2 years ago, 3 years ago actually, I considered like going back to school and doing psychology, but I think I'm good. I don't think I can do this. But regardless, that was like the next best thing to being a doctor, right? But the weird thing is, like, when the time came for me to choose my academic path, it's varsity time. What am I going to do with myself? The whole psychology thing, I don't know where it went to, but it ended up being music. But just because it's music, there wasn't really anything outside of like just because. I also considered doing like business administration and stuff, you know. But I ended up going for music, and that was that, I just did music just because, literally just because. I never in my childhood envisioned myself anyway in the arts professionally. But yeah, I can't really like say to you right now like, oh, I became a musician because I was doing music throughout school, and that was the only thing that I knew how to do at the time. And even then, I'm not like the best. Like, I even sometimes like feel weary to tell people that I've got a music degree, but because I don't want to be confronted with the academics of it. I don't think I'm that good academically. I mean, I'm whatever, but that is kind of like where my pathway or how like my world kind of like moved, you know what I mean? So I am now in this spot where music is not really the thing that I thought I'd do with my life. What I wanted to do with my life I cannot do. So what now, right? And it's been the past like 10, 13 years been just this roller coaster of trying to figure the shit out of like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna focus in or focus on? I'm almost 40 and I don't have this shit figured out. And with the whole rise of the whole self help market and all of that, you kind of like start to see this whole thing of like, do what you love and you never work a day in your life. Like, what the hell is that? I don't know what I love. What am I going to work on? What am I going to focus on that I don't feel like I'm working, right? So the best thing to do here is to find my purpose. What the fuck's my purpose? Listen, guys. And that journey towards figuring out what my purpose is, it's still an ongoing one. But this is what I have for you so far. I think that the trap with purpose is that, my understanding, let me start here. My understanding of what purpose is, I feel like purpose is chaotic for me because you kind of have to be dealt your purpose. You don't decide for yourself that this is my purpose. That's one side of what I'm thinking, because I got a confrontation to that concept about 3 weeks ago, but we'll get to that. But my initial view is that purpose is ordained. Purpose comes from outside of you. So most likely, if you are a religious person, if you believe in a higher power, if you are a spiritual person, you believe that there's something greater than yourself. Therefore, there is something ordained onto you to perform on this earth. Thus, your purpose. That's what I think purpose is. That's what I believe purpose to be. Okay. What's the challenge with that? I'm not particularly into the higher power situationship, but that's a whole other conversation. I don't know if I want to go through the whole deconstruction conversation as yet, because it's very touchy. Here in the Africas, guys, it's very complicated to go that route. But somebody who doesn't really believe, as somebody who doesn't really believe in a higher power and so forth, the idea of purpose kind of fall flat for me as far as my definition of purpose is concerned, because that means that I don't have an external entity that has ordained my purpose onto me, or I don't have an external entity that has built me for a certain reason. My belief on how the world works, on how we are here. I'm a chaos theory person. I think things just happen. I don't think things happen for a particular reason. I think that there are situations that may lead to situations that may affect you, but there's no real reason as to why that happened. So like the butterfly effect thing kind of makes sense to me a little bit, where like in something happens over there and then a sequence of events trickle down and it affects me. Not because that was meant for me or sent to me, but it just happened. Okay, so I'm a chaos theory girly. Things just happen for no particular reason. So where does purpose fit into that? There's no room for purpose in a mindset like this. There's no room for because 1, 2, and 3, I'm gonna live according to this, The other thing that I find interesting with purpose, for people who subscribe to purpose, right? That was my definition and how I feel about it and what I think about it. I find it interesting that a lot of people are in consistent pursuit of purpose. And that to me is very like frustrating to deal with, because it's like, I feel like a microphone, for example, right? The purpose of this microphone is to project voices, is to, project your voice. This thing was built with a purpose. The purpose came with it, built in. It does not have to figure out what it needs to do. Do you know what I'm saying? So anything of function has inherent purpose. However, humans don't. We have to figure out what that purpose is. And I feel like if purpose is ordained, it is, you are built, you are created for a purpose, that purpose should be built in. I don't understand why there's so many hoops and loops into people just inherently knowing what the purpose is, right? Like, you're born and then you're like, got this shit, this is my purpose. And this is what I'm going to dedicate my life to. And I know because I can feel it in my gut. I know that most people can say like, but you have all these obstacles, things aren't as black and white and things are gray. And I think that's also like in sometimes the flaw of the heathen is that sometimes we tend to see things black and white. But I'm not denying the nuances of life, but there are just certain concepts that are not as nuanced to me that I feel like should be straightforward. But most people find them nuanced. And to me, one of those is, if purpose, you are born with a purpose, you're created for a purpose, it should inherently, like, your traits should inherently pull you towards that, right? Automatically. It shouldn't be something that you have to figure out. It should be something that you just like do, right? Without like biting your head off. So why all this thing of like in today, I feel like, you know what, my calling is 1, 2, and 3, and people go into that thing and then they realize like, oh, but while doing this, I realized that this wasn't my calling. My calling is actually to do that. And then while doing that thing, they go like, oh, actually, and then we call this the pursuit of purpose, the pursuit of happiness. Like, look, I'm not here to judge nobody, but it's just too convoluted for me to subscribe to. Okay. So those are the two things for me that like make this concept very, very fascinating, and why I'm so interested in the idea of purpose. So now, I don't believe in purpose in the traditional sense. What to do from now? Then I thought, I heard. I don't know where. I'm sure I heard. Okay, like I said, I'm not Socrates. Don't Plato me. Okay. But there's duty, there's responsibility. That I subscribe to a little bit more. That sounded a little bit more appealing to me, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel like duty is something that you choose. There's an element of choice. There's an element of accountability attached to duty, right? So if you are a mother, it is your duty to raise your child, right? It's not your purpose. You have this baby. It's your responsibility to take care of this nigga. Okay? That's how I see it. That's how I think. If you're married, you have a duty towards your marriage. You have a responsibility towards your marriage. So you do the things that you're supposed to do to fulfill your duty as a married person, as a parent, as a worker, right? Like when you work for someone, you have a duty, you have responsibilities that you have to subscribe to, or not fulfill. Fulfill is the word I'm looking for. Why I also prefer duty over purpose is because now with duty, there's more clarity as to what to do next, right? So, because my duty as a podcaster, listen, and that sounded very cringe, but as a podcaster, as a speaking person, right, is to make sure that, you know, I have episodes out, I make myself my schedule to talk and all of that stuff. And if I don't do that, I'm simply being irresponsible and I'm not fulfilling my duty. But then somebody might say that, okay, Fernando, I hear you. You know, you subscribe to duty, purpose is whatever. But now, what if what you enjoy doing inherently, right? What if the thing that you are more comfortable doing, the thing that you are more natural at, what if that is your purpose? What if your purpose is to do that thing, right? And I say, fine, but to what benefit, right? Like, to what benefit? And when I say that, it's like, I enjoy talking. Listen, I talk and I can talk. Okay, I can talk, y'all. I think you know this by now. Okay, if I can sit here for 30 minutes and just talk to a camera, I mean, you know. But honestly, there's nothing. And I know a lot of people are going to say, but it's not true. It's not fair. You're beating yourself down. But like, there's a certain level of arrogance to think that me enjoying to speak and sitting down and talking is good for humanity. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if a single individual can have that much impact. I know Nelson Mandela. I get it. But he wasn't alone, you know? Sip my coffee. I'm still sipping coffee. What time is it? I don't even know. So there's that side of it to me where it's like in sometimes also we make our purpose we get too like caught up in the idea of like, oh my gosh, my purpose in this world is to do 1, 2, and 3, and you become too self-righteous within that purpose. That's my problem too, right? And it's like you shouldn't feel self-righteous. You should just enjoy to do it. You shouldn't feel wait. It's not particular that you shouldn't feel, that you shouldn't just enjoy. What I'm trying to say is that just because you are living within your purpose or within your truth or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right, doesn't make you a better person. Doesn't make you better than anyone else. Doesn't make you better than the person who is fulfilling their duty and is still trying to figure out whatever the heck this is. My gripe with purpose is that it sometimes gives people a big head. For the most part, right? My purpose in this world is to help. My purpose is to serve. My purpose is to this. Okay, then do it, right? But you don't gotta like announce it. I think it's okay to feel comfortable in something that you do, right? But my issue again, right? It sounds like I've got like a crazy, maybe I do. Okay. I'm going to breathe here. Okay. Do I have beef with purpose? Not necessarily. But I do have beef with how we interact with the idea of purpose as human beings. I do have beef with how sometimes the idea that you have found your purpose in this world tends to give people, us people, a big head about, oh, sorry if I'm making a noise with my microphone. It is moving funny. If you interact with the idea of purpose, right, you start to feel like, I'm better than everyone because I'm living within my purpose. But then you're the same person that tomorrow is probably going to go and be like, yesterday what I was doing, it was my purpose for that season. There are seasons in this world. There are seasons for everything. Oh my God. Yes. I think there's seasons. I think there's a time for everything. There's a time to reap. There's a time to sow, right? I don't believe in reasons. Just do your thing, damn it. Okay, like I think I'm sick. Okay, this is a rant. Okay, I'm just going into this rant because I'm over it. I'm over the idea that in order for you to live a fulfilling life, you have to find your purpose. I don't think so. You don't have to find your purpose in order to live a fulfilling life. You can just be a responsible human being who decides what their duty will be, what their responsibility will be, who chooses their path, and they just live within that for the rest of their lives. No particular reason. Nobody told you to do it. You don't owe anyone anything. You're just doing the thing that you want to do just because you can. What is wrong with that, right? Like, why is this need for purpose so pressing? And the thing with it is that it puts so much pressure on people, okay? It puts on me, okay? Let me speak for myself. But I feel like the idea of like, do you know what happened to me? Somebody asked me like, what's your purpose? I stopped dead in my tracks. I said, how could they ask me what my purpose is? I don't know what my purpose is. And I don't know why. Okay, I need to have a purpose. For what? For who? Okay. But then they brought this thing. And here's where kind of like, they kind of brought me around a little bit to this idea of purpose. It's kind of like you can look at purpose, because I look at purpose as like a grand scheme of stuff, right? My bigger purpose to life, like something of like I am here to change the world in this fashion. To me, that's purpose, okay? But then this person's like, no. Purpose can just be today. My purpose to myself is to just be happy. That's all. Today, I'm choosing to not get upset. Today, I'm choosing to not let things get to me. Today, I'm choosing to live within my joy. That could just be purpose. And I thought, okay, that's true. But that's also my duty towards myself, isn't it? It's also my responsibility to choose peace over problems. Okay? I don't want problems. I want peace always. Or I don't want peace. I want problems always. It's up to you to choose if you want violence or if you want peace today, right? So I think my main thing is like, sometimes it's like the perception of language that might make it seem like, or rather, no, let me say it this way. It's not so much about language. I'm going off, okay, guys, like I'm crashing out today. I think I'm tired of the pressure to need to know who you are, what you are, and why you are here on this earth for. What is the problem with just waking up? Just like the dog. The doggies don't care. The dog wakes up. The dog goes, yeah. He stretches his back and chases a bird. Just because that's what he wants to do. Or just because that's what he does, right? So I feel like the pressure of purpose tends to throw me off. Okay, it throws me off a lot. Because then, before I even set my goals, before I even define what joy is to me, I feel like, but what does this translate to in terms of purpose? Is this what I'm even meant to be? Is this what I'm even meant to do? And I get stuck in trying to figure out whether I'm on the right track or not, right? And that's what I don't like as well. Like the idea that I could be wasting my time doing something that I'm not meant to do. But right now I feel like I should be doing this thing because it just feels right. And then tomorrow I wake up and I feel like I just wasted 5 goddamn years of my life doing something that I don't have to do. Because I thought for those 5 years that this is what I was supposed to do. But turns out that I'm supposed to do something else. And I now decide that this is my purpose. Whereas like when I choose to do something and 5 years later I get nothing out of it tangible, I feel like, oh, okay, but I chose to do that. I could have opted out at any point, right? But I decided to commit to that. And I did. So I get to sit and reflect on what did I do for these 5 years? What did I learn? Right? And how have I improved? And how have I added to my toolkit, to my skill toolkit, right? And okay, cool. That didn't work out. What's the next thing that I can try, right? I don't feel as disappointed then. You know what I mean? I found that at least that's how it worked for me, because I've given time, I've given effort to certain things, but in the same breath, I fumbled a lot of things, right? But that's because I didn't step up to the plate. It's not because it was not my purpose. It's just that I didn't step up to the plate. And then when I did step up to the plate, I stepped up to the plate, but I still didn't get what I thought I would get out of it. But I got something out of it. I don't feel like I've wasted time. I don't feel like I'm falling behind, because like I can sit back and now consolidate all my skill set into something that I can maybe improve on in the future. You know what I'm saying? So purpose to me feels a little bit like if you don't do it, you wasted your time with the wrong thing. And the excuse there is like, but at least I gave it a try. At least this is my pursuit of happiness. I don't know. I can't do it. I can't do it. But here's the thing. I'll say this. Whatever rocks your boat, right? Whatever rocks your boat, because we all see the world through different lenses, We all see the world through different experiences. And one thing that we all do have in common is that we, at least together, can try and figure this out, right? We all want to figure this out. We all want to live a fulfilling life. At the end of the day, whether you're on this side of the camp or that side of the camp, everybody wants a fulfilling life. And I think the best thing to do in order to come to that, I feel like there's certain concepts that we could focus on more rather than figure out duty or purpose. I'm not even saying that the whole duty and responsibility thing is good, because on the other side of this, right, like although yes, you are like almost like a robot in this thing, you just get up, I gotta do this because it's my duty. What's a man gotta do? I gotta do what I gotta do. You don't always have to live your life that way, because there is also an aspect of like imprisonment in that mindset of like you just do what you gotta do, and that's also not good, right? That's also not good. But I think that like instead of going purpose versus duty, what should we do to achieve a more fulfilling life? That's what we all want. At the end of the day, it comes down to that. How can I leave this world and on my last day be like, yeah, that was worth it, right? Like the fact, because here's the thing, and I love this description of life, okay? Whether you're a believer or not, a heathen or not, or whatever you are, okay? It was Neil deGrasse Tyson that was describing just how amazing it is that you as an individual are here. And I love it. I think I've probably said this so many times on the podcast, either this one or the entanglement, but I know I've said this a lot of time. But The idea is that the fact that you exist is a miracle on its own. You as an individual. You. Okay? You. Because you had to come out of your, like the sperm that you had to fight to make it to the egg. There was a lot of sperm you had to fight. Okay? There was like trillions of y'alls. And you are the one that hit that egg and then stayed in that tummy for 9 months. And then you came out. And here you are. Still today. You know? And it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to be alive, to live, to exist. All those other sperm that didn't make it, they'll never get to make it. You got to make it. Everything else that didn't make it will never get to make it. So like think about it. The psh, oh, the ejaculation happens. A psh. And you are the one that made it. All those guys that didn't make it, they will never have a chance to like, oh, let's go back and race again. It's done. Okay? It will never happen again. So you only had that one chance and you made it. So it's pretty insane, right? That those are the odds that you had to fight through to still exist here today. So to say that wanting a fulfilling life is crazy, I think you're capping, right? I think we all want to experience the best of what this life has happened. Because after this, hey man, it's chai. It's done, as the boys say. It's chai. So I would rather focus on fulfillment. Yeah, fulfillment. Purpose, yeah, fine. If that's what makes you happy, you want to figure out what your purpose is in this world. So you kind of have like in a little bit at least of like in a roadmap or something. Go ahead. Duty, fine, because it like kind of keeps you moving. This is what I have to do, whatever. But there's also still something miserable about it. I'm not even defending that. But I think fulfillment is all encompassing of both concepts of your purpose and your duty as a human being. I think you need to figure out, number one, what are the little things every day? And this sounds so cliche, but like, what are the tiny little things that bring you joy, that bring you calm? You, not the people around you. You, okay? To me, I was even saying the other day, like, I can give up booze. I have. I can't give up coffee because I just love that morning taste and smell and like just that calm, that rush of my heart that I get, but at the same time it just grounds me. I love the only cup of coffee that I have in a day, and I only have one cup of coffee. I tend to not have more than one, right? If I have more than one, it's because I have other things to do. But like something as simple as that you will not compromise. What brings you that little bit of like every day, every single day? Because remember, this might be the only thing that was good for you that day. So you need to have something that at the end of the day, you go to bed and like, my day was so shitty, but at least I enjoyed my cup of coffee. At least that. What I mean by that is, suppose you're a working person. You get up and you indulge in your beautiful cup of coffee. No interruptions, no exceptions. It's you and that cup of coffee. Then you have to get ready for work. Then you got to be stuck in traffic. That sucks for most people. Some people enjoy it, but it sucks, right? Like, damn it. And then you're going to get to work. Then you have to deal with that annoying colleague or your boss, or you have to deal with that annoying project or whatever, or then you have to deal with your partner that's a pain in the ass, or a friend or a child or this, or your bills are bouncing, or like everything that could go wrong goes wrong in that day. You come back home, too tired to cook. You'd love a meal, but you don't have the time to make yourself a lovely meal. So you just slap a piece of cold meat and bread, and that's your dinner, okay? And then you look at your kids and you have to sit there and do homework, and you hate doing homework, okay? And then they go to sleep, and then you look at your partner. There's no time for sexy time. You're feeling grimy, you're feeling greasy. You take your shower and you just go to bed. The only good thing that happened that day would have been your cup of coffee. So find that thing that when you go to bed, you're like, oh my God, my day sucked, but at least I had my cup of coffee. And then once you identify that little thing, one thing that is unskippable, uncompromisable, no matter what. Listen, if you're going to visit someone and you're not sure if they'll have coffee is something small you can pack in your little container, your little sugar or whatever. It's something small you can pack and put it in your handbag. And you go to someone's house, I don't have, like, hey, listen, friend, can I please just, don't feel offended. Just boil me water and I'll have my cup of coffee. Okay? So find that one thing. Like I said, for me, it's coffee. I look forward to it every morning, okay? Then we build on this. What are other things that we can implement in this day aside from this? Maybe not every day, but like, let's say, what can I implement in my routine that will make me feel good about the day, okay? Because fulfillment is, in my opinion, is something that fills your heart with joy. You know what I'm saying? It fills your heart. It makes you feel like you did something wonderful for yourself, for the next person or whatever, right? So fulfillment kind of comes with that. So find that one thing and then find other little things that you can implement, but have that one uncompromisable thing. Then you can say, I enjoy going for walks in the morning after coffee, or you can say I like listening to music, or whatever it is, man. Figure it out, okay? Then I want to introduce this other concept that, as a heathen, I found very fascinating. One thing that makes society function, there's also like a little bit of a philosophical concept. And I might be butchering it, and I don't know which philosopher said it, but I heard it somewhere in some debate on YouTube. Okay. But the idea is that even without spirituality or religion, okay, we look at this society from a secular lens. There are three, if I'm not mistaken, three factors, okay, that keep us in check, okay? So we love to have a sense of belonging, a sense of community as humans, okay? I don't care how introverted you are, but there is that nag in your heart to be a part of something, okay? And then we all want to agree on a set of rules, that trust, what is it called? I forget the thing, but like we all agree on a set of rules that we all abide by, okay? And then we have a common goal, a common idea that we all subscribe to. Okay, it's something along those lines. So the idea is that a sense of community. So I'll use like religious concepts for this so that it makes more sense. You have churches. So people every Sunday congregate, or Friday congregate at the mosque, or congregate at church and whatever. But like there's this sense of community that you belong in a group of something. Okay, so every Sunday you go to church, and at church we all sit and agree on a set of morals and a set of rules that we abide by, okay? So if it's a scripture, it's the Bible, it's the Quran, it's the Torah, whatever it is, but there's this set of rules that you abide by. And then you have the one entity that you all agree is the truth keeper, okay? So whatever God you believe in, Jesus, Muhammad, or whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? So like in these three concepts, I found that apply to even non-believers, because at some point you don't want to feel isolated from humanity. You want to be a part of something, whether it's a running club, whether it's a biking club, whatever. You want to be a part of something. And you want to live in a world where people agree on certain ideas that you also agree upon. And I think for the most part, we all do. We all believe that you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't lie, you shouldn't thieve, you shouldn't cheat, you shouldn't kill, you know what I mean? Like, and that you should be kind, you should be polite, that you should say please and thank you and all of that stuff. So we all have this sense of rules that we agree on, you know. We tend to disagree now on that one common idea, the truth holder, because now what is the truth? We can't agree on that. But you can create that sense for yourself, in a sense of like, I believe that the truth, one common truth, is that we all seek fulfillment. And what moral avenues can I explore in order for me to find the sense of fulfillment? So for the sake of fulfillment, right? You become a part of something, of a community, of a group of people, of a tribe, people that will hold you to account, people that will hold you up when you're feeling down, people that will inspire you, that will encourage you, right? Whether it's your friend group, like I said, whether it's your running club or whatever it is, but like you create a tribe that agrees on a certain set of rules. So what I mean with this, or where I'm trying to go with this, I know I rambled a little bit on this concept, but the idea behind it is that it is fulfilling to be a part of something where you can participate and contribute as a human, okay? Examples are, if you are a parent, contribute towards the school PTA or the school governing body. If you are homeowners association, church, you know, you can be the baking lady at church. You can volunteer at animal shelters. You can volunteer at orphanages. You can volunteer at like disability centers. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can become a part of like in a fitness club, somewhere where you can participate and feel like you're giving something. If you're part of the running club, you can volunteer to be the person that, like, sometimes it's just choosing to be the life of the party, right? But it brings that greater sense of fulfillment. Outside of my beautiful cup of coffee, now what can I do to give back? Okay. And then within that group, you have your set of rules we abide by. We don't lie, we don't cheat, we don't thieve. I think all those rules, like, we all live by. You want to be as honest a human as you possibly can. Okay. This is actually very funny. Call back to The Untanglement, episode 49. Go listen to that, where we talk about truth versus honesty. Lies. Is the truth always necessary, or is a lie here and there acceptable? So you want to be as honest as possible, but go listen to that episode because it was really funny. It's the previous video to this one. And okay, apologies, I had a little bit of an interruption there. But yeah, you kind of want to live in that world where there's trust and where you can participate with an open mind and an open heart. Okay. And then I guess the common truth, which is a little bit more tricky to figure out, but if you can find a sense or a space that accommodates that, right? So I would say, like, in church is a good space for most people, religion is a good place for most people to find that truth, that community that accommodates that sense of truth to you. But if you're not in church, but like just anything that like speaks to what you believe in, okay, find that, whether it is how can I put this? I'm trying to figure out a way, but like for the most part, when you already have a communal sense, right? You already have like that common truth, that common idea, whether it's like a lifestyle, whether it is a mindset. When I'm saying mindset, I'm not talking about like in gym bros, like it's about your mindset. I'm talking about your perspective, your worldview. There we go. Okay, your worldview. So, for example, like somebody or something that speaks to how you understand the world, something that speaks to your world in a way that is clear to you and honest to you. Okay, so that's a very personal thing, but there are many people who agree with you, who share the same worldview as you do, and it's just a matter of aligning yourself with such concepts and such truths. And I think that from there, because you're not searching so hard for meaning, you tend to fall into place, and especially in doing things that give you comfort, that give you that make you feel valuable. Okay, and it's one of those ideas that are a little bit too complex, I think, and because I didn't like jot notes down, I'm just like going off my head. But it's that idea for me that like kind of makes sense, in that it makes more, I think it falls more under like subscribing to the duty concept rather than the purpose, because I feel like purpose makes you wait for something to come to you. But if you get up and just find your community, abide by a certain rule set, okay, that speaks truth to you, and find that truth that is your truth, I think that in some ways you will feel more fulfilled. You'll feel less lost. You'll feel more engaged with life, and not so much doing that goose chase of what am I supposed to be doing? What is my purpose? What is my world? What is my life? You know what I'm saying? Which has been a personal battle of mine for so many years. Even now, I still kind of like struggle with that, but I'm starting to understand, certain ideas in terms of like why religion works the way that it does, because it kind of harp sorry it's a good hub for this idea. Okay, so first thing, you find your daily joy bringer, and then you find the idea of community, a good set of rules that you will abide by. And when I'm saying these certain rules, I'm talking about like your moral compass. Okay, because you don't want to be compromised. You need to have a certain set of principles that you're comfortable with and that you're happy to abide by, because you cannot be somebody that just doesn't have any sense of direction, any sense of personal direction. Okay, so you need to develop a sense of principles, a set of principles that you can abide by, and surround yourself with people that agree with that set of principles, because then you're not pulled out of what you want to become or what you want to be. Okay, and then again, like I said, your sense of truth. What things speak to your worldview, to your lifestyle, to how you want to engage in life, okay, to engage with life, okay, because life is something that I think we tend to just let go by. We just let go by and we forget that it's so finite. It is finite. You have this and it's done, okay? You don't get to do this a second time. You don't get to do this a third time. No matter what you believe, whether you believe in reincarnation or whatever, but the way that it is set up now, you don't get to do it again. So you have to make the most of what you have right now, okay? And my last recommendation for this would be try for as much as you can to have fun. And I mean it. And it's not easy, right? But when I'm saying fun, I'm not talking about fun in the conventional way. I'm talking fun in the goofy way. Be goofy, be silly, do things that you otherwise seem too cool to do. There's this idea that we are too grown to be on jumping castles. Who said that? You know, like, I don't think so. I don't think we are too grown to still live in the whimsy of life, to still enjoy things like party packs as adults, to have a kiddie themed party, to walk barefoot outside, which I hate, by the way, because my feet feel dirty all the time, you know. But just like, let us not look at adulthood as this section of life that does not allow us to be goofy and silly. I think there's such beauty in enjoying just anything, just making fun of yourself, you know, just having a good time and not being so uptight. We are too uptight. And that's why we struggle with figuring out what we have to do, because we're so freaking tense. You know what I mean? Relax. You know, this is a wonderful opportunity to experience Earth, to experience the planet, to experience humanity in a way that you never will ever again. And one thing also, guys, to remember is that, man, it doesn't get better than this. We right now are alive in the best time ever, especially as Black people. This is the best time to be alive, okay? This doesn't negate all the bullshit that's going on in the world, but what I'm saying is that we have so much at our fingertips, and I find that we get so stuck up. We become so stuck up that we forget to enjoy the finer things in life. Like, I love like, this is not even a silly thing. I just don't have my emoji, but like, you know, my friend got this cup for me for her birthday, and the straw would have like in a little emoji, and we were just like being goofy and just listening to music and talking and laughing and teasing each other and making fun of each other, and no feelings were hurt because we were just having a good time, you know. And it is nice to let loose and do that as often as possible. Be romantic, you know, just go dive in a pool, just in your clothes. I remember, like, my dad would sometimes come from the gym and get out of the car and just dive into the pool, you know, in his late 60s. And I'm like, that is so fun. But sometimes we're just so caught up in the rules that are irrelevant. The relevant rules are treat each other with kindness, be morally, you know, inclined, be responsible, you know, but that doesn't mean that you have to be uptight. That doesn't mean that you have to limit yourself from enjoyment. Anything, guys. And when I'm saying goofy, I mean it. Tickle your daughter today, okay? Tickle your son. Take your dog and throw him in the pool. Throw yourself in the pool, okay? Just like, go outside and dance, like, play some music and just enjoy music. Don't be shy to be silly. Let's be silly, okay? That will give us such a wonderful sense of freedom in this world. There's nothing I enjoy more than goofiness. I am a proponent of goofiness. I think it's the best way to indulge in this wonderful experience that we only have now. So let's do this, guys. Let's be goofy. Let's be silly. Let's be just loose. Stop being so stuck up. Stop taking everything so seriously. You don't have to know what you need to do with your life. You don't have to have a purpose to enjoy life. Just enjoy. Okay, just enjoy every single moment that you can where possible. Find the silly, find the joy, find the beauty, and like just bask in that. And don't ask anything more of yourself other than that. Other than these 3 pointers, don't ask anything more of yourself, because that's where we get stuck and we start to feel like we're wasting time. There's no such thing as time wasted. Time goes by. It's wasted if you choose to not have learned anything from it. Be intentional about what you invest your time into, right? Be intentional about what you label as your purpose, right? However you're going to follow this, it's up to you. But be intentional about it. Don't go into it so blinded that you come out of it feeling like you've wasted time. There's no such thing. Time goes by. So for every day that you have left on this earth, enjoy every day. Be on purpose about it. Be on purpose about it, because we're going to have hard times in between. So why not force good times? Why not force the joy that can be had in this wonderful experience that we call life? So that's kind of where I'm going to leave it now for today on purpose versus duty equals fulfillment. Okay, that is my recommendation for you, my friend. I want to say to you that I'm very grateful that you're here with me dissecting these concepts that, as we kids, we had dreams and aspirations, but like now we feel lost. We feel lost. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a push and a little bit of a nudge in the right direction. But like I said to you, focus on that one thing that you're going to do every single day without fail. That's going to bring you joy, that you enjoy doing, that nobody can take away from you. Then find your community, find your sense of rules and your sense of truth, and abide by that. And then be silly with it. Be silly with it. Everything else will fall into place. You don't have to worry too hard about it. This is just a once in a lifetime opportunity. So bask in it, milk it, indulge, and have the most fun that you can have on this earth. So this is it for me today. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, please follow and feel welcome to engage with me in the comments. Let me know what you think, whether I spoke a lot of crap, whether I spoke any sense. And if you have anything to add, like I'd love to hear from you down in the comments on Spotify, on YouTube, or wherever it is that you listen to your podcast. You can comment with us. I also have down here the link to our WhatsApp group if you want to follow us. I'm very particular. I scan because I get very sketchy requests. So you will get accepted on request. But after just making sure that you are a real human and that you're not here to be a scammer or to antagonize the other followers. And this is also where you can catch up with all the other podcasts on the network. Like I said, Neon Studio. We also have The Untanglement that comes out every Friday. I think I'm going to make this one for Tuesdays. I think Tuesday is going to be the day for Growed Up. So at least that way you have something for the week and the weekend. And thank you so much again for being here with me. Follow me on Instagram at Just Fernando, and follow the podcast as well at Growed Up Podcast on Instagram. And yeah, remember to be kind to one another. We are all going through shit. We don't need another piece of shit to make things worse for us. So be good to yourself, be good to your loved ones, and I'll see you again here